US crackdown on illegal migrants continues as President Donald Trump administration has now deployed 2,000 National Guard troops. As federal agents in Los Angeles faced off against 100 demonstrators during a second day of protests following immigration raids. This now marks second day of protests and unrest in LA. Now, we also learned that officers used tear gas and batons to disperse crowds in the Paramount district. When asked if planned to send US troops to Los Angeles, US President Donald Trump replied, and I quote, "We are going to have troops everywhere. We are not going to let this happen to our country. We are not going to let our country be torn apart like it was done under Biden administration."
California, are you prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Depends on whether or not there's an insurrection.
There is, sir?
No, but you have violent people, and we're not going to let them get away with it. Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
I'm being joined by my colleague Vishal on the phone line. Vishal, what are the latest developments and how are the authorities actually working to maintain the law and order in Los Angeles right now?
Well, Shubhangi, the latest is that demonstrators have ignited some self-driving vehicles in downtown LA, and the latest report suggests that at least 4 to 5 vehicles have been set on fire. These are all self-driving vehicles. So this is the latest in the escalation in the protests that have now entered its third day. And the protests have been sparked off by some immigration raids conducted by the Trump administration. And that is how it started. The U.S. administration has responded heavily to it and has sent, as you mentioned, hundreds of National Guard. There are talks that the U.S. Marines could also be sent, so that could be another level of escalation. The governor of California has already said that it's an unlawful thing that the Trump administration has done. So all of that has been happening. The protests are escalating as we speak. The situation seems quite tense. As I mentioned, there have been vehicles burnt. So far, there are no reports of anyone getting hurt, but the situation remains quite tense and volatile on the ground in LA.
Right, thank you, Vishal, for giving us all those details. We'll continue tracking that story. Now, viewers, take a look at what actually happened in Los Angeles. Here's a report from the ground to give you a sense of what is happening in Los Angeles right now.
We see you for what you are, a terrorist organization. Out of Paramount. You are not welcome here.
In a rare and controversial move, U.S. President Donald Trump has deployed 2,000 National Guard troops to Los Angeles. The mission, stamp out unrest triggered by sweeping immigration raids. And now, what began as enforcement has ignited a political firestorm. Typically, National Guard troops are deployed at the request of a governor, but in a stunning power play, Trump bypassed state leadership, invoking a rarely used provision of the Insurrection Act to take control himself. The federal crackdown on undocumented migrants has ignited widespread protests. Tensions have boiled over with violent clashes and mounting outrage over the use of military force. All this as over 100 people have been arrested after ICE agents raided several businesses in search of undocumented workers. In the Latino-majority Paramount district, residents confronted Border Patrol agents. Officers responded with tear gas as streets filled with smoke and fires erupted. Shrubs and debris set alight. The protests spiraled out of control as Trump ordered the deployment of California National Guard troops to contain the unrest. Earlier, the U.S. president lashed out at California's Democratic leaders, branding Governor Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass as incompetent for their alleged mishandling of the violent riots. He also announced new rules banning protesters from wearing masks, escalating an already volatile situation. Governor Newsom fired back, calling the move purposely inflammatory, warning it would further erode public trust and inflame tensions already running high. Trump's latest actions mark a dramatic escalation in his broader crackdown on immigration, blurring the line between law enforcement and military intervention. As troops patrol city streets, the question now remains, just how far is the Trump administration willing to go? Samia Afsar, NDTV World.